What separates a good theme park guest from a bad theme park guest? One that the employees and cast members would love to have back versus ones that they wish would never return again. One of the questions I got a while back from a viewer named Diligent Zero was, if I was given the responsibility of making a pamphlet to hand out to every guest at a park before they came in the gates, what would I have it say? It created some very interesting thoughts in my mind, and as I've taken time over months to think and mull this over, I've come up with a list of suggestions, guidelines, and maybe a few rules on how to be a good theme park guest, as opposed to one that the employees in the back of their mind are cursing and wishing that they could give a good swift kick to. So here are my rules and suggestions on how to be a good theme park guest. Ones you think would be common sense, but surprisingly, a lot of times aren't. The first one, look up information on the park or parks that you're going to before you get there. I know this should be obvious. You would think that people spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on a trip would pay a little attention to where they're going and what is there and what isn't there. But it's amazing how many people don't and aren't. Be familiar with the park hours. Know what day that the park is open. You don't want to end up like in National Lampoon's Vacation, where you drive up to the park and you see the big moose out in front going, "Sorry, folks, park's closed." Not an experience you want. So check the park hours and days they're open. Look at the rides and attractions that are there. If you are not a roller coaster person, you're probably not going to really enjoy a day at, say, Six Flags Magic Mountain, where 80% of the attractions are roller coasters. It's probably not going to be a lot of fun. Know what shows and parades and etc. are going to be available. If you're there on a day and you're waiting for the parade and, well, there's no parade scheduled that day, you're going to look kind of silly. All these things are all posted on parks' websites. They also almost all have apps now that you can download on your smartphone, and it will list schedules and things like that. There is no reason to go to a park anymore and not know what is there, when it's happening, or what's happening. So use the websites and the apps and inform yourself. Then when you get to the park, grab a map and a times guide or a schedule and use it. I couldn't believe how many people I would see walking around the parks I worked at, and they would be clueless as to where things are. You know, you'd be standing right in front of a restroom. I mean, literally, right in front. It'd be right here. Where's the bathroom? I don't know. Or trying to figure out where the parade went. Is there a parade coming soon? You see all those hundreds of people sitting on the sidewalk? Nah, they're just enjoying the sun. They're not waiting for anything. I was always amazed how many people just didn't have a clue. And then they would ask things like going to Epcot and asking when they had moved the castle. Or Hollywood Studios, back when it had the sorcerer hat. And trying to explain to somebody that they had moved the sorcerer hat from Magic Kingdom over there. Hello? Or over at Silver Dollar City when they wanted to know when they moved the cave. You're not exactly moving a cave. Or even worse, when you start asking about attractions from another park. Harry Potter is not at Disney. Don't do that. Pay a little attention, get informed a bit, and know what is at the park and what's not. It'll save you from looking foolish and from a lot of frustration as well. Next rule, don't complain about the prices. If you're going to a theme park, it's expensive. Period. The food costs more than outside. The souvenirs cost more than outside. Yes, they've got you trapped, and yes, they raise the prices, and that's how they make money. Everything is marked up there. Everything. And yes, as employees and cast members, we know it's marked up. We know it's expensive. And we can't do anything about it. Complaining to us about something that we can't do anything about, it's not going to help your situation any. Welcome to theme park world. It's the same thing if you go to a sports event at a stadium, if you go to an airport and you're locked behind the gates, any place that kind of have you captive, the food and stuff is expensive. Not all of them are that bad though. Honestly, I can eat at Silver Dollar City and get a good meal for barely more than what a fast food meal would cost me. So there are ways to work around it if you pay a little attention. but complaining about the prices isn't going to help you any. There's a simple rule if you don't like the prices. If you don't want to spend that much money, don't. Or better yet, don't go to the theme park and then you won't have to worry about it. But don't yell at the employees and cast members for it. It's not their fault and they can't do anything about it. Next rule. Follow the safety rules that are in place. And most of these are common sense, and I know I've harped about this in other videos, but people are stupid when they get into a park. If an employee or cast member tells you to do something, don't yell at them because they're telling you to do it. Do what they tell you to do. Don't stand up on a ride that's in motion that you're not supposed to be standing on. If it's a roller coaster or a train or something, and the ride is in motion, stay seated. Don't be moving around. Don't try to jump out of the ride. This is a good way to get injured or killed. Don't try to get out of it unless it's in the loading and unloading station and it's loading or unloading at the time. Don't climb fences. Don't go past barriers. Don't go into doors that say no admittance or employees only. Again, common sense stuff, but it is amazing how many people just throw it out and ignore it. You know what? I've decided I don't want to ride this ride anymore. I'm going to get off right here in the middle. Don't be that person. My next suggestion. If you need assistance or have a question or you're lost or confused, ask. Ask kindly, ask nicely. But the employees and cast members are there to help you. They're very happy to help somebody who may be just a little bit confused. Now, of course, a lot of times that confusion comes because they didn't pay attention to the website or the app or the safety rules. But if it is something that you just can't figure out, don't hesitate to ask. You're not going to get the cast members or the employees upset by asking that. Maybe you misread the map and you think that you're here at point A when really you should be at point C and you can't figure out how to get there. We're happy to give directions. We're happy to help. We loved helping guests in need and making their days better. That's why you work at a theme park, is to help make people's days better and to help them out. Maybe it's something as simple as, hey, can you take this picture for me with my camera? Yeah, we can probably do that if we're not busy doing safety-related things like running a ride. Just be polite if you need help. Don't be a jerk. Don't be rude. Don't be mean. Because if you are, you're less likely to get extra service. There is this myth out there that if you don't like something, that if you pitch a fit, that you raise a ruckus, that if you complain loud enough, that they're going to fix things and do something extra for you to make you happy. And there's a little truth to that. If you go to a guest relations deal and you complain and you pitch a hissy fit, yeah, they might give you something extra just to get you to shut up and get out and go away. But if you have an actual problem or you need some help and there's something that's just not quite right, if you are polite and understanding and kind about it, you will find that they will actually go even further out of their way to help you and make it better and maybe even throw in some extras than if you weren't doing that. Let me give you an example from my own past. Years ago, and I actually talk about this in one of my videos, there was a gentleman that had actually cut his head on our train because there was a loose nail. He and his wife were so kind. I mean, he's bleeding yet, he's laughing, and it's okay, don't worry, I'm going to be fine. His wife's a nurse, they're taking care of it, we'll be okay when first aid gets here. And we were really kind of surprised because you half expect a guest to be pitching a fit and yelling and screaming at you, and they weren't. But because they were so kind, we were like, you know what? We're not just going to want to get you out of the way. We're going to do everything we can to make you better because you're being so understanding about a bad situation. They got dinner, they got tickets, they got new shirts, and that's just what I'm aware of. And I know the manager that was there, he was like, dude, I'm going to take care of you. And we were so happy to be able to help them, but it wasn't one of those deals where, okay, we're helping you because we have to. We're helping you because we want to, because you're being so nice. Working as a photographer, working as a train conductor, if I saw somebody that had a little bit of an issue and they were like, you know, hey, I just want to make you aware of this, and, you know, it's something to be aware of. I'm not complaining, but, I want you to know, not only am I grateful for them telling, but I'm going to go out of my way to do something extra and special for them. On the train, maybe it was something small like having them be the one to say all aboard for everybody. Maybe it's a photographer. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take some extra time and I'm going to get you some special pictures that people normally can't get. But I would find ways to be able to help them out. It may even be something like, oh man, you spilled your drink. Tell you what, not only am I going to get you a replacement drink, but I'm going to cover your whole family because you're being nice and kind about it. Cast members and employees will go out of their way to bless people who are nice to them. So keep that in mind if you've got a problem or an instance. And again, if you have a problem or you need some help, ask. But ask nicely, and we'll love you for it. Next suggestion. Think before you speak. And I know this is one that a lot of us are guilty of. I'm guilty of it. I have said and done some dumb things. We all do. There are times when people will say things because they obviously haven't thought about what they were going to say first. For example, when's it going to stop raining? Okay, think about that for just a little bit. I'm going to come back to that question. They would also say things like, why do you have to close so early? Well, because the park announced that ahead of time. I can't change it. Why won't you let me on this ride just because I'm the wrong size? Maybe for your safety? Hello? A lot of times we would have people that would complain about things that were beyond our control. And it may be the weather. It may be whether a ride is working or not. You know what? I'm just the operator. I'm not the one that actually fixes the rides. And I can't necessarily tell you what's going on with it. I'm not an engineer. I don't know if something's broken on the engine. Just me, you know. We would have people get upset a lot of times about things that we had absolutely no influence over. When the park closes at 6, the park closes at 6. I can't run the ride at 7 o'clock. Sorry, the park is closed. You're supposed to be out by then. And on weather cracked me up because I had so many times when people would ask me questions about weather that I couldn't answer, and it was just really silly. I mean, one, down at Disney, you'd be shocked how many people actually think Disney controls the weather, that the parks are in some sort of dome. And I'm not kidding on this. Why is it raining? Did Disney turn the rain on again? Why can't they turn it off? Hello? Really? People genuinely believe that the Disney World parks are in a dome. Do they realize how much money that would cost and how impossible it really is? We're not living in the year 3000 on the moon. Things like, when is the weather going to clear up? I got asked that a lot at Silver Dollar City. When is it going to stop raining? Okay, well, first off, when you are working at a theme park, you're not allowed to carry these around. You're not supposed to use them. Many theme parks, if you pull your phone out, it's instant termination. How do you figure out what the weather is? Well, for me, I pull up an app and I look at it on my phone. Can't do that, so that answer's out. They're not constantly telling us what the weather is. We're not looking at radar maps. We actually depend upon an office to tell us when to open and when to close. When is weather going to clear up? Here's the real issue. If you ask your weatherman, half the time he doesn't know, and you're asking a park employee. If somebody asks me when the weather's going to clear up, this is kind of my standard answer. Well, you know, I am a praying person and I talk to God a lot, and I do believe that God talks back to me, but one thing he doesn't give to me is a weather report. I'm sorry, you can take it up with the big guy. Here's a simple one. If you are in line to order food, pay attention to the menu and know what you're going to order when you get up to the cash register. As a guest, this is one of my peeves. When you've been standing in line 15 or 20 minutes and the people in front of you have been yakking and gabbing and talking and everything else, and then they get up to the cash register and they go, "Oh, what do you want to eat, Maud?" "I don't know, Fred. What do they got?" "What were you doing all that time you were waiting?" Look at the menus and figure out what you want ahead of time. Save everybody some aggravation. Save that poor cast member at the cash register from wanting to throttle you for being dumb. Hello? If it's a park that has characters like the Disney parks, know who the characters are before you get up to them. Now, I understand you don't know every single character. That happens. That's okay. If you're in line and your family members have pulled you in line to go see this character, and maybe it's a short line, you decide to jump in. I don't know who it is, but let's go see them. Before you get up to them, at least kind of quietly maybe grab another employee or even a kid in line and say, "Hey, I want to make sure I get their name right. What's their name again? Who are they?" Ask before you get up there rather than asking the character itself, because you're going to feel really silly and you're going to lose some magic moments that way. So know before you go. Another simple one. Pay attention to what's going on around you. I am amazed constantly at how many people are utterly clueless when they're walking around a theme park. Part of it is these things. You will see people walking around and then they walk into a pole or a fountain or something else. And I'll be honest, as an employee, we would see that and we'd turn around and walk away laughing because it was funny. Unless you are looking up something park related, put these things away. Leave them alone while you're at the park. And if you do have to use it, don't walk while you're doing it. Find a place out of the way. Which reminds me of another thing. Don't stop in the middle of the sidewalks. Oh, I hate that. I mean, walking along and somebody right in front of you just stops all of a sudden. I'm getting old enough where I have the excuse to be cranky, and I just want to kind of slam into them. Get out of the way! I don't do that. That's not nice. But you feel like it sometimes. If you've got to stop even suddenly, get over to the side of the sidewalk, get out of the way of everybody around you, and then figure out what you're going to do. When you stop in the middle, you're going to have other people walk into you and you're blocking the walkway. And especially when you get that wall of people, 5, 6, 7 people, and they're all side by side and then they all stop. Gee, guess what I'm going to do at that point? I will probably push my way through because you're in my way and I can't get around. Don't stop in the middle of the walkway. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Things can happen in parks sometimes, and if you're just walking along oblivious, you can quickly put yourself into a situation you don't want to be in. If you're a parent, you should have an idea of how to put the eyes on the back of your head. It's a good thing to do at a theme park. It really is. One of my last suggestions, be mindful of everybody else in the park. Yes, we know that you paid a lot of money to be here. So did everybody else. As an employee, all of the guests in the park are special. You are not more important than that other person. You all are special and important, but not any more so than anybody else, which means you don't get any more special treatment than they do. So when you think that you have the right to cut lines or get a special privilege or get a ride all by yourself or something, well, no, you don't. They have the same rights. Cutting line in particular is a big peeve of mine. Please don't save places in line for somebody else. That's not fair to everybody else who's been waiting in line. There is exceptions. Employees and cast members understand if somebody has to run to the restroom, especially a child. Let a cast member know. Let the people around you know. Because if you were one of them, you would want them to do the same thing for you. Hey, I'm sorry, my kid's got to go. It's going to be ugly if they don't. Would you be kind enough to let them back in place when they get back? Absolutely, not a problem. But if you tell somebody, hey, I've got 8 people, they're all riding another ride while I'm waiting here, and when they're done on that ride, they're going to come back and cut in front of all of you, no. Doesn't work that way. That's line cutting. And in many parks, that can actually be a reason to kick you out of the park. Don't do that. You don't want people doing it to you, don't do it to them. And the same thing goes for pretty much anything that you do at a park. Be polite to people around you. I love the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. If you live like that, anywhere you go, you're going to do well. And it applies to the theme park as well. So there are my suggestions for being a great guest at a theme park. I'm sure you probably already do all of them, but maybe there's a couple good reminders in there, and maybe there's a couple that you hadn't necessarily thought about, like asking for help nicely as opposed to complaining like a jerk. Maybe you got some stories about people who did or didn't do these things and what happened. I'd love to hear your stories. Please don't hesitate to share them in the comments below. If you got people who kind of need reminders on how to behave, don't forget to share the video with them. Hit that like button too. I'd appreciate that. Thank you too to my patrons for supporting me. If you want to know more about Patreon and supporting me, or about my Facebook page, my Reddit, my Discord, and various other things that you can do, check out the links below. There's even a link to my store as well. Thanks so much for watching, and God bless. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button right there. If you'd like to see another great video of mine, there's a good one right there for you. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people and support me on Patreon, hit that link right there. Thanks so much.